We're about halfway into the new baseball season, and there's been a lot of new breakout stars, but the breakout star I want to talk about today is none other than Yankees relief pitcher Michael King, who is finally having his breakout year, but he's doing it in a way that he probably never envisioned. You see, King was drafted in the 12th round back in 2016 by the Miami Marlins to be a starting pitcher. He was then traded to the Yankees in the winter of 2017, still to be a starting pitcher. That was still his role at the time. And his 2018 season in the minors seemed to confirm that, as he pitched to a 1.79 ERA over 24 starts in 160 plus innings. But then his 2019 season happened, and that all seemed to change. He continued to start, but soon struggled to find command, and he saw his ERA balloon up to over 5 that year. Nonetheless, he was still able to make his major league debut that year, appearing in one game and pitching 2 shutout innings. Now, by the time the shortened 2020 season happened, he started becoming a full-time Yankee, although he saw a little bit of time on the minor league squad, or the taxi squad they had. I don't really remember what it was called that year, but yeah. And he continued to struggle, pitching to, I think, over a 7 ERA that year. And it wasn't until 2021 that King truly settled into the big leagues, even though he started out that year in the minors. He was finally given a clear role once he got to the big leagues as the Yankees' long reliever in the bullpen. But he still had aspirations to be a starting pitcher. Those aspirations soon came to a close when he injured his finger and was shut down for the rest of the season in July. After what was a very promising start where he was pitching to a 3.5 ERA, and he was doing an excellent job in the long reliever role, exactly what the Yankees asked of him, and that's what he was doing. Now, all the work he had done in getting too close to that starter role was just taken away due to a freak injury in a weight room where I think he pinched his finger and ended up being a pretty bad injury. He was placed on a 60-day IL out of nowhere. Now, he entered this year again as the Yankees' long reliever role, but soon some injuries happened, and next thing you know, King was the Yankees' second most valuable reliever. Now, how exactly did Matt Blake and the Yankees staff unlock him? The biggest change they made for King was finally having him throw his best pitches consistently. In the 2021 season, he threw a sinker about half the time, but then he threw a cutter 15% of the time, a slider right around 10, a changeup around 10, and a four-seamer, I think, right around 8% actually. By the time the 2022 season began, they had completely dropped the cutter, and instead going with three pitch mix where he would occasionally add a changeup in, which just truly allowed him to elevate his game. The consistency on his pitches has finally allowed that elite break that he creates to finally come into play, with his sinker, slider, and changeup all breaking over 16 inches, and his slider and changeup both break over 18 inches, which his slider break is 8 inches over average, his changeup break is about 6 inches over average, and his sinker break is about 4 inches over average. So they're all great above average pitches. The simple philosophy of throwing his sinker and slider more has truly allowed him to elevate his game. Those two pitches come out of the exact same spot and end up going in two completely different directions, which just makes it so tough for someone to sit on a pitch against him. You sit sinker, and next thing you know, he's making you look like a fool with his slider, and then making you take that shameful walk back to the dugout after striking you out on a pitch that wasn't even close to the zone. On matter of fact, speaking of strikeouts, he has been one of the best relievers at getting them, ranking in the 99th percentile for strikeouts according to Baseball Savant, and 53 strikeouts over 39 and a third innings, which is roughly 12 Ks per 9, which is up from his 8 Ks per 9 compared to his 2021 change. And not only that, but basically all of his stats have just changed dramatically from that year. His whip has gone from 1.2 to 0.9. His hits per 9 has gone from 8.1 to 6.2. His home runs per 9 has stayed roughly the same, but he was already having good home runs. He was 0.9, now he's down to 0.7, and his walks per 9 have changed dramatically from 3.4 all the way down to 2.5. And his strikeouts per walk have also jumped up over 2, going from 2.5 to 4.8. Everything about him has just gone up this year for Michael King. Now, the change in pitch usage has led to more strikeouts and better command and control of his pitches, like I stated, which will directly lead to a better season. And it's not like his ERA is overperforming. His underlying numbers, as he's rocking a 2.4 expected ERA, 2.25 FIP, 2.2 expected FIP, and a SIERA of 2.17. So his ERA is actually underperformed compared to his most underlying statistics, which is shocking. I thought they would actually be overperforming a little bit, but he's done a great job, truly. Now, Michael King has proven that he is one of the best relievers in the baseball this year, no matter how you look at it. Passes the eye test easily. His counting stats, like ERA, are great. And all of his underlying stats are just off the charts amazing. He is, in my opinion, one of the best examples, along with Clay Holmes, about how this Yankees pitching staff makes their relievers better. And it's simply by having their pitches throw more of their best pitches. I mean, look at Wandy Peralta. He used to be kind of a two-pitch pitcher. And last year, they had him just throw that changeup all the time. Just go change up, and it worked out fine for him. Same with Miguel Castro. He used to be like a 3-pitch pitcher. Now, like, you throw your sinker, you throw your slider. And now he's starting to go with slider more and more, and he's starting to have more success. It's just something the Yankees have done more and more, where they basically say, if you throw this pitch badly or has any sort of, like, it isn't as successful as your other 2 pitches, it's gone. We're not going to use it. You don't need it anymore. And, King has gone from aspirations to being a starting pitcher to one of baseball's best setup men. And honestly, I'm all for it. I love watching this guy pitch, and the stuff that he has is just incredible to watch. He is one of the best relievers in baseball, and should be for a very long time. I mean, overall, he has some of the best numbers. You look at his baseball savant page, and you see a whole lot of red. Now, one thing he does have a problem with is that he does allow a little bit of a harder hit percentage, but it's a little weird because he does everything else so extremely well. Like, everything else is above average at worst. I mean, he's got a K percentage in the 96% rate. Whiff percentage is 99th percentile. Average exit velo is 73th percentile. But his hard hit percentage is 40%, is in the 40th percentile, which is a little odd, seeing how everything else he does is so good. Like, he's got a great chase rate, a great velocity, great spin rate on his fastball. Everything else he does so good. So, the fact that he has that hard hit percentage is a little odd, but he's able to be fine with it. Now, he had a little bit of a rough stretch where he allowed, a couple of runs, 3 or 4 starts, but besides that, he has been dominant for the New York Yankees, and one of their best pitches, and honestly, one of their biggest surprises this year in a time where they truly needed it, with Eliza going down, Chapman struggling, and then getting hurt, Chad Green getting injured. Overall, if he didn't step up, the Yankees bullpen would have one true dominant guy in Clay Holmes, and then a bunch of middle reliever guys like Wandy Peralta and Miguel Castro. But Michael King stepping out has really helped slow down that bullpen, give them 2 dominant arms to go to basically every other night, and he's one of the main reasons why that bullpen is so incredibly good. Now, I don't know if he can exactly keep this up for a full year as he's dealt with injuries and stuff like that, but overall, he's been one of the Yankees' best players this far, and watching him pitch is one of the most... It's so special watching him pitch. You see the things he does, it's incredible. You see that sinker just like start out on the outside part of the plate and just run in on a guy's hands. And then next pitch, you see a slider that starts in the middle of the plate and goes way outside his zone and has the guy swinging right through it. He's just incredible to watch. And honestly, he's one of my favorite pitchers in this new season. This is Talking About Sports. Just gave you a run up on who Michael King is, and now I'm signing off.